On the next episode of Rick and Morty, the anime.
じいちゃんを探しに行くんだ。
放っておくわけにもいかないでしょ。ワームホールを逆探知してみるわ。
私も行くわ。
An all-new Rick and Morty, the anime. Japanese language premieres next Saturday at midnight on Toonami and streaming on Max. On the next all-new episode of Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Swordsmith Village.
Death by suffocation is rather stylish. Beautiful, isn't it?
It's no good. I can't slash it.
I can't contain myself imagining your face twisting in agony as you drown.
Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Swordsmith Village. Next Saturday at 12:30 a.m.
Oh, it's all so very comical.
Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
Hello everyone, welcome to Toonami Therapy. August 28th of 2024, I'm Michael.
Yeah, hello, I'm Tommy.
And this is our podcast where we talk about anime, other things, and sometimes even Toonami. Alright, so I don't think there's any new news related to Toonami outside of, well, I guess we already knew that they were going to replace Naruto Shippuden with another One Piece episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to mention then. So do you want to just get into it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. So we are going to start out with the stuff that aired on regular Toonami. So we've got Rick and Morty, the anime, episode 2. I don't really know how to even describe what happened in this because I'm not sure exactly what did happen.
I need to stop for a second. I'm losing my... You're kind of fading out on me. I don't know what's going on.
Huh. Okay.
Connection. The connection wasn't very good there. I don't know what was going on.
Let me open. It's not likely to be the cause, but I'm just going to open some doors around here. Maybe that'll make stuff get through better. I'll be right back. Okay, are things better now?
Yeah, they sound a little better now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. If that happens again, maybe I'll try to move to a different room or something.
Okay.
All right. Now oh yeah, I was
Sorry.
talking about Rick and Morty, and in this episode, basically, Rick ends up fighting because we do get a clarification that this is actually just some alternate universe, just for the record. This isn't the main one. And I think Rick fights the original Rick I'm not sure why. There's a bunch of other stuff that's happening, and it involves... Look, I'm not even going to try to explain this, okay? I mean, maybe I don't have a high enough IQ to understand Rick and Morty, the anime. I'm just going to say, it happened, and it was less comprehensible than the previous episode.
Yeah. And then they said that short, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did show a short, which I think is supposed to predate this chronologically. Well, I think it predates, I think it was made first. Apparently, I think they made some Rick and Morty anime shorts, and then they just decided, well, let's make an actual show out of those shorts. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of understood the episode as it was happening, but I'll be honest, part of the reason I'm confused is that I actually forgot most of it. It just all blurred together. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add on that.
Yeah. So, yep. Don't have anything else to say about that. The episode happened, I guess. All right. I mean, I guess I could try to explain, but it's, yeah. Okay, moving on. So we've got Demon Slayer episode. What episode are we on actually? Right, 47. All right, so they find that sword that was in the training dummy, and then it just disappear. Sorry, it doesn't disappear. What, I was all confused. But it was really rusted. Anyway, but then another guy comes and says, "Don't worry, I'll fix it." And then, and then there's a bunch of, and then they, I guess the series decides, wait, this is called Demon Slayer. Let's get to some slaying demons, or at least fighting them. Anyway, then they do end up getting attacked by like demons, and I guess what's his name, the strong guy, the Hachir guy, is like thinking, oh, I won't bother saving these people because I need to save this other person. Then he does the whole, oh, Tanjiro told me something about helping people, so I guess I'll do it. And yeah, and oh yeah, the other thing about the demon we learn is that I guess when you split it, or it will just, make there be two demons, like the Hydra in Greek mythology, I guess, except, actual splitting instead of heads. Here's a question. So the Hydra had 9 heads. So does that mean like someone before Hercules had chopped off heads and that it had grown that? And how many, and the other question is, couldn't Hercules have theoretically defeated the Hydra just by chopping off heads, and there would be so many heads that eventually it would just need too much blood to maintain all those heads that it would, collapse from lack of blood to the heads?
Never thought of it that way.
I wish I could make this. I wish I could say I came up with that, but no, that was actually in this comedy series I read called Order of the Stick. That's how they defeat this Hydra. They just keep chopping its heads off, and then but then because there's so many heads, it ends up fainting from lack of blood. Then someone basically ties it down and decides to make a Hydra head BBQ hut, where he just chops off the heads and then to sell them after, and then it forms new ones. Right, Demon Slayer. I thought the episode was decent. I just don't know if I have that much to say about it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunately, your audio keeps fading out on me, so I don't know what's going on. So,
maybe it'll work if I go someplace, if I go to a different room then. Because I am in the basement, which previously worked fine, but, okay, I'm going to... Yeah, I'll try moving to someplace else. I'll have to although I'm going to have to carry some stuff around, so I'll just be gone a minute or two. All right, so I'm in a different room now. Sorry if I suddenly sound different. I think there's a little more of an echo here. So also you might hear something in the background because I think someone might be mowing. I tried to close the windows, but you might still hear it. Anyway, so that, unfortunately, it took me so long for me to do all that. I forgot what we were talking about. What were we talking about again?
Demon Slayer.
Okay, well, I remembered that, but what were we talking about specifically about it?
Not really much more than just it was an okay episode.
Yeah, it was one of those ones that was just kind of straightforward. I guess... I mean, there were some funny bits where there was that guy who wanted to repair the sword, but they got into the dispute, and then his weakness was tickling or something. That was kind of weird, but I guess that's the kind of jokes you get in this show. You gotta have some sort of wackiness because Zenitsu's not here, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so then we got One Piece episode 681. So, in this one, Doflamingo announces that who the targets are for them, and he offers money for people who bring them in, and they've got like 1, 2, and 3 stars. And the higher the star, the lower your chance of you pulling it when you try to summon. No, wait, that's how gacha games work. Sorry. In this game, what happens? Sorry, not in this series. What happens is that basically more stars means more money for you, and he tells everyone, "Hey, if you want to survive, you'll have to do this. Also, I'll pay you all that money." So that makes everyone decide, okay, I guess we'll try to get them. And then our heroes are now kind of still having to deal with Doflamingo and all of this other stuff. And yeah, and I guess the obligatory mention is, as soon as Doflamingo mentioned, all right, I'm going to name the people that you need to get, I just knew, oh man, they're going to pad this out as much as they can, aren't they? And then they padded that out.
Far beyond what I could have even imagined.
Oh, it could have been even worse. If I really had to pad it out more, I would have probably made sure and had Doflamingo actually audibly say every single one of their names and titles.
Yeah, that was real padding there.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, though, I did find this episode pretty entertaining. I don't know why. I think, some of the unintentional humor and, it just was unintentionally funny. And instead of making me feel like very scared of Doflamingo or hating him, it just made me laugh. So I guess that's why I enjoyed it. So yeah, not bad episode, even with all the padding.
Yeah, well, some of the humor was intentional.
Yeah.
Okay, like the bit with or actually maybe that was from the previous episode. I think we got some of it here. Bartolomeo, realizing Usopp is the Sniper King. There's the bit where Usopp ends up being like the most wanted of all of them. Okay, so and yeah, so then we get to Naruto Shippuden episode 499, second to last. Okay, so basically we find out in this episode about how there's, mission stuff that people still need to do. And so some people wouldn't be able to get to the wedding, and but then they just decide, hey, let's, I don't know, take turns or something, so everyone can show up. And yeah, that was, and which is kind of weird because I'm like, Kakashi, you're supposed to be a smart guy. Shouldn't you have just decided this before? And then yeah, and that's basically, and then there's some stuff with Konohamaru trying to record stuff. We got a little more of that, but there's some stuff with Hinata. We haven't. How long has it been since we've actually seen Naruto? Come to think of it, in the series, because
I can't remember.
We haven't seen him. I'm pretty sure this whole sort of pre-wedding arc. The one before this was that arc about Shikamaru. I don't think Naruto was in that either. So, let's see. The one before that, I think, was a one about Sasuke. So let me actually, here, I'm glancing over once again, which is this list of the Wikipedia, synopses of these episodes. So, glancing at this, I think, I don't it's hard. I'm not 100% sure whether we literally didn't see Naruto at all, but I don't think we've like really seen much of anything from Naruto since I think we're looking at this around episode 484. So that's about 15 episodes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people have talked about Naruto, but we haven't seen him.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's what happened in this episode, and next one is the last episode of Naruto Shippuden.
Yeah, the very last one.
Yeah, I kind of think that when you look, the stuff afterwards, I guess was okay, but really they should have, a much better final episode would have been, the part where the original series actually did end. Naruto and Sasuke fight because I guess we needed the big conflict there, and Naruto wins, and Sasuke decides, well, okay, I guess that was kind of a jerk thing, and then everything and then he kind of leaves, and then we get all that stuff resolved, and all that seems like that would have been the better final episode.
Yeah, that would have been. This all feels very unnecessary.
Mm-hmm. But
yeah, and it's stupid too because it's like, okay, see, I had a lot of problems with this episode. They're doing this. They're all volunteering, like, oh no, I'll be there to protect the village, and it's like, are you really that low on ninjas that you have to have one of Naruto's friends be guarding the village? Like, don't you think you have enough of them around that you could get some scrub who isn't one of Naruto's closest friends and get them to do the dirty work for this? It just seems like they're making a problem that doesn't exist, and it doesn't make much sense to me. It's like, yeah, you've got to have at least enough other ninjas that you don't need to have, Ino or Tenten or whoever do it. So, although Tenten doesn't do anything anyway, so yeah.
I like the part where Iner fight against during the Chunin exams when she fights against Tamari. In the anime, you actually see the fight. She gets defeated off screen in the manga. I mean, okay, so technically, it's not off screen completely. You do see what the other characters are doing when they're watching, but but they're not really watching it too much. Someone just said, "Wow, she shut down Ten's weapon attack like it was nothing," and then a little later on, you just see that Tamari's won decisively, and you're like, "Okay, poor Ten," and that was the beginning of her, never doing anything important.
Yeah. And then she doesn't even get paired up with anyone. That's how that's how little the authors care for her.
Yeah. I mean, you can say, well, Naruto's got a lot of characters. Some have to get sent by the wayside. Like, remember when Ichigo's classmates actually mattered in Bleach?
Yeah, Toski was a pretty important character, I thought. And we got to learn about them. There's Chizuru, and then there's even Ichigo's family. They had a pretty good, and then his sisters kind of just got forgotten about. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's definitely something that happened in Bleach. So yeah, I don't have too much else to say. I guess we'll see how the final episode ends. It really feels like this final season was just there because, well, they just wanted to keep it going. Naruto is popular.
Yeah.
Or maybe they
And
just really wanted to hit exactly 500 episodes of Shippuden. All right. We'll maybe have more to say about Naruto next week. So we move on to the non-Toonami series, and we've got episode 25 of Dark Gathering, which is named, well, Dark Gathering. So basically, they talk about how they're going to, the plan they're going to do, because in case you forgot, they've been running around capturing all these powerful spirits because it's part of a plan to defeat I can't remember what do they call it? Just like Eyes God or whatever. Whatever that being that she's going to be forced to marry and then will kill her. So they're doing all this stuff because they got them so they can fight the god and defeat it. And this episode is basically preparations for all that. And then they say, well, wait until the next season or pick up the manga if you want to see what happens after this.
yeah, the last thing we see is let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And then nothing after that. So we're completely stuck on a cliffhanger. And is there going to be a second season of this?
No second season has been announced yet. So so it might come, it might not. We really have no idea whether there will be one or not.
Now that sucks. Yeah, hopefully they do put out something, even if it's a shorter season. I'd hate to see this end just like that.
Well, there is the manga to read. So if someone, I don't know exactly what chapter the anime leaves off at. I think it's something around at chapter 32 or 33, something like that. If you want to, if you want to read the manga from that point, you can do that. There is an official translation. There's volumes out, and if you want, but you can also read it with a subscription in the Shonen Jump app. But unfortunately, right now, it's actually not quite caught up with the anime. I looked into it. The next volume that comes out in English, which comes out in a few weeks, I think will catch up to where the anime is. So there's that. But then you'll have to wait for more chapters. But the manga is out if you want to follow it that way. So yeah, might as well mention. I figured I should mention that. Before we get to the series as a whole, any final thoughts on the episode other than this being one of like the biggest, hey, go read the manga endings that I've seen?
Yeah, I was like, oh no, this is gonna be a real cliffhanger. And the whole episode, I'm like, there's no way they're resolving any of this, and it's gonna be one of those things where I'm just wishing that there was at least 5 more episodes so we could resolve something. Like, I understand if they don't resolve the whole thing, but for them to stop just like this, it's like, okay, we're all getting ready for a big battle, and then that's kind of where it ends. So, yeah, not my favorite way for this season or potentially this series to end.
Yeah, I think I'll probably check out the manga later to try to keep up with it. But unfortunately, yeah, it just does kind of end like that. Maybe we'll get another season. Maybe we won't. I don't know how well like the anime did commercially, so I don't really know how any of that can be said. All right, so the series in general. So I really liked the series at its start. There was, we had some horror stuff, but there's also like some pretty funny stuff also with the characters having kind of fun interactions, and I liked all of that. I kind of feel though eventually it kind of got a bit repetitive. It kind of had a bit less of the comedy and such in it, and it kind of just felt almost, I guess that's the big issue. It just kind of felt like it started getting a bit repetitive, and and then it seemed like when we were moving towards something new, unfortunately, that's right when the season ends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my opinion is similar. I liked it in the beginning. I thought it was, I thought it was entertaining whenever they go, and it'd be funny because it'd be like, okay, we're gonna go do something scary, and of course, Cato didn't want to do anything scary, but he was forced to, and that was funny for a while. But then it got to this thing where we had to catch the graduates, and it became like a very formulaic type of thing where it's just like, okay, this episode we're catching such and such graduate, and that's all it pretty much was for about 10 to 12 episodes there at the end. And it was, and then we did get like some build up, like, okay, now we're all that we're going to use it now for a big battle. And sure enough, the show comes to a close before we can see that. So yeah, just I gave it, let me see what I gave it on my anime list. I don't think I've changed my ranking of it. Would I give it? Yeah, I gave it a 6 out of 10. So, yeah, it was good, but it wasn't special in any way. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to give it a 6.
Okay. I think I'd rank it a little higher overall as a 7. Like I said, I think I've said it before, I think the series got less interesting. You say when they started going after the graduates, well, I've said it before and I'll just say it again. It's the point where the series basically became Pokemon. Like kind of like a horror version of Pokemon, but still Pokemon.
Some of those Pokemon episodes were pretty scary. Those ones in the first season when they go to Lavender Town, that stuff's pretty scary.
Even that one, yeah. Well, I'd say they like had a bunch of jokes and stuff in it, but I'm thinking, well, I would say they had jokes in this also, but unfortunately, they kind of had fewer of the jokes, or maybe they just kind of integrated it less with the rest of the things. They were definitely trying to go more, I guess, hard on the horror later on. So. Yeah, I don't have. Yeah, I think that's all of it. I don't know exactly when we might get a second season. Looking at some information, so the anime goes up through I think the first 9 volumes of the series. I think it stops midway through volume 9, but I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, that's not quite out yet in English, but. Looking at chapter titles, that tells me that. But the thing is, right now so that's 9 volumes. Well, there's 16 volumes out total. So I think so there's not enough to have a double core, 25 episode season again yet. Maybe you could have like a second season that's only like 13 or 12 episodes. So it's possible it might come back, but it might not. Basically, I don't want to be too critical necessarily of it, ending off on this point, because for all I know, it comes back. And then if it comes back, that's not an issue. But then if it never does, it's like, well, I guess that's just where it ended. Go read the manga. Okay. Okay, anything else you want to say about Dark Gathering?
No, that's pretty much it for me. So, yeah, 6 out of 10. It was good at times, mediocre at times, and just unfortunately ends too soon.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So, all right, that we're done with that now. So, let's move on to Spice and Wolf, Merchant Meets the Wise Wolf, episodes 9 to 10.
Okay, so everything's going great for Lawrence, and then he goes bankrupt. Plot, the plot forced him to go bankrupt because it doesn't make any sense to me why he went bankrupt. It just seemed like, okay, for the plot to advance, we need him to be bankrupt. So suddenly he's begging for money from everyone while Polo does nothing. And then we get in the second episode, we have him and Holo basically just kind of like the romance between them, and then suddenly he's starting to get himself out of debt. I can't say I really liked these episodes because I felt it felt very forced about him going bankrupt. Like it was like it just came out of nowhere. It was like, okay, we gotta change things up here to add some more drama. And it's like I think they could have done that differently, but and Holo is so strange these days. Like these latest episodes, she doesn't really make much sense to me, and I just can't figure her out. Maybe I'm not supposed to be able to figure out what she's thinking, but yeah, this just felt too forced for me, and didn't really like these 2 episodes.
Yeah, it's interesting the way you put it. Well, so plot-wise, I understand why. It was because he basically borrowed a lot of money to buy a bunch of armor because he thought he'd be able to sell it for profit, but then it turned out that some battle or something that was going to happen didn't happen, and now armor's worth almost nothing, so he's in debt with, for all of that. So I guess it makes sense in universe, I guess, although it did seem like that was a kind of dumb thing for him. An uncharacteristically dumb thing for him to do. But in terms of like when you look at it more, I guess from the larger perspective, it did seem like it was kind of forced, but it's just like, well, we got to make him go end up in a bunch of debt to make this plot happen. And my problem more is I just felt this was really stretched out. I'm glad that we're watching 2 episodes per week because It's not. I mean, this is nowhere near as like padded as One Piece, but it did feel padded out. Like I'm looking at this, I'm like thinking you could have done this scene. You spent 2 episodes to do what could have been done in 1.5, or maybe even just 1 episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the issue I've got there. So yeah, I think I would have liked it more if it had just gone through all this a bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see. I'm looking at my notes from this episode, and I wrote something, and I don't understand what I actually meant by it.
Oh man.
Wow, I really have no idea what this. If I were to rewatch,
What did you write down? What is it? What does it say?
I wrote down. Okay, Maybe this was actually for something else, and I actually put it here, but I just wrote down, honestly, when one thinks about it, it's obvious preventing them from taking it again was a bluff. After all, the other villages would presumably object to their members being unable to take it again. What was I referring to? I have no idea what this was in reference to.
You wrote down that whole thing and you can't remember where it came from?
I just wrote it. What is the it in these sentences?
Oh.
That's what's confusing about me. I'm saying, okay, preventing them from taking it again was a bluff. What was it? Am I missing? I'm sure this was something that happened in the episode, and I'm just forgetting that it happened. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't remember exactly what it was. Wait, maybe that was in reference to something different because I'm suddenly noticing that note I made for Dark Gathering I put under Full Metal Panic.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that was actually in reference to something else. I don't know. Well, maybe maybe someone who's watched this episode can figure it out, and maybe it was just something very stupid I wrote and I was wrong, but I'm sure related to something here, and I'm just completely forgetting what it was. All right, maybe I just wrote it badly. So as we go past my confusion over what I meant by something that I wrote, we can go on to Full Metal Panic Invisible Victory Episode 3.
Okay, so explosions, gunshots, robots, all that stuff. Yeah, fighting, weapons, everything. And not much plot to speak of. Just things blowing up and people firing at each other and all this. And then at the end of this episode, you get a little thing where, well, Kyoko has been captured and Toonami and Sosuke are all nervous, and that's it. This definitely was not one of my favorite Full Metal Panic episodes.
Yeah, it was you kind of described what I thought. There's just all this fighting, and yet it's not really particularly interesting fighting either. It's just, they're doing all the fighting in the robots, and a character dies, although it's not one of the main characters. So,
right.
What was that the same one who told off Tessie in the previous episode? I can't remember.
I can't remember either. It might have been.
Well, not told her off. The one who was conspiring against her until she gave her big speech, and then he changed his mind. I can't remember if that was him or not. But yeah, we got all of that, and then we do go back to Sosuke and Kaname, where they're talking. Okay, we need to rescue our friend who got captured. So, but they don't really do anything. They just kind of talk about things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So not a particularly interesting episode on the whole.
Yeah, this was a disappointing one in my opinion.
Okay, so after that we've got Yu Yu Hakusho episode 3. So in this episode, I guess the series decides, well, Kuwabara is going to be a main character, so we should have an episode focusing on him. Basically, we find out that after he and is kind of getting to another fight, although in their defense, it was just beating up people who were apparently going to harass. Keiko's her name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was just trying to make I was just making sure on that because I'm thinking Keiko, and I was confused because I was thinking, wait, that's not it. That's the person from Dark Gathering. No, that's Eiko. This is Keiko.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Anyway, one of the teachers who doesn't like them basically says, okay, you can't get into any fights for the next week, or else one of the people in a sort of group will lose their job that they have through the school. So Kuwabara decides, all right, I'm not going to get into any fights, but he doesn't want to run away, so he gets beaten up a bunch. Then the teacher just tells him, all right, you need to get a 50% or higher on the next test. So Kuwabara has to do a bunch of studying. The series remembers, Yusuke's the main character, so Yusuke kind of goes into his dreams to help him study. And then to prevent Kuwabara from getting attacked again, he just takes over the body of this unconscious girl to beat the guys up. I'm just going to assume that when a ghost overtakes someone, it's like somehow their physical strength transfers also, because even if you're a great fighter, if you're suddenly in a body that isn't like ready for fighting, you're not going to be able to do that well.
Yeah.
I did like the part where after they're knocked out, he just leaves her, and then she just looks at the bodies, goes, ah! Anyway, Kuwabara manages to pass the test, even though the teacher tries to cheat by erasing one of his answers, but another teacher calls him out on it. And so things worked out okay for Kuwabara, and maybe Yusuke also for helping him out, because remember that whole thing, hey, you need to, because it'll help you out, but only if you're a really nice person and such.
But wait, what's the accent that girl is speaking with?
What's the what?
The blue-haired girl?
What? Yeah, what did you ask?
Like, what accent is he speaking with?
Accent? I just assumed that was some kind of British accent.
Yeah, and I was wondering, like, is in that the original series like an Osakan accent or something?
I have no idea.
Because I know that you probably remember this. Like Azumanga Daioh, they would use, there was a character named Osaka, and she talked in a southern accent because it was supposed to represent Osaka accent. So I was just wondering if, what's her name? Botan.
Botan.
Is that her
Botan.
name? Botan. Where was I getting that from? Okay. Anyway, she speaks with that accent, so I can't figure out why. But about the episode, I thought it was really good and really funny, and still can't figure out why all those people would always go Kuwabara every time the cosplayer entered the room. It was ridiculous. I mean, this guy was so popular who was cosplaying as Kuwabara, and I've never seen anyone so loved by everyone than this Kuwabara guy. But that was 15 years ago to make me feel very old. No, 14 years ago. I'm sorry. Makes me feel very, very old to know that that's how long ago that happened. So, wow. Yeah, that's that's quite sobering. But about the episode, yeah, it was really good.
Okay. Yeah, it was a decent episode. So, yeah, I don't have too much else to really say about it, but yeah, it is a little funny that I'm thinking, yeah, so this is. I guess I was going to say that, hey, we got a shonen battle series, but we haven't had any battles so far. Although I guess we have had a bunch of people get punched, so I guess maybe that counts. All right. So, all right, now we'll move on to the Toonami Rewind shows. So we got Sailor Moon episodes 18 to 19.
Okay, yeah, I am having a hard time remembering what happened in Sailor Moon this week. Aside from the typical same as always stuff. I think one of them had to do with Tuxedo Mask. I can't remember. I'm having a hard time remembering. They weren't very interesting episodes, I have to say.
The first episode, I can't really remember much. Okay, that was the doll episode, but
right.
but that was just another, same episode plot. The second episode
Right.
was better because it actually seemed to have some sort of, like, it actually more involved some characters, seemed to kind of advance some plot points things, because that was the thing where Nephrite decides to try to find Sailor Moon by dressing up as Tuxedo Mask but not disguising his hair at all. It's so weird because, like, when Usagi's like, "Wait, you're not Tuxedo Mask," and he goes, "How did you know I wasn't Tuxedo Mask?" And the obvious answer is because your hair is completely different. But she just says, "No, a girl can always tell whether it's their true love or not."
Yeah, that's right. You're right about that. Yeah, I don't know why I'd forgotten about that. I just remembered it had something to do with Tuxedo Mask, and I couldn't remember the rest of it. But yeah, that's what happened here.
We
Not very interesting episodes.
we do. I think this is the first time we get definite confirmation that I can't remember his name, but the guy who's actually Tuxedo Mask. I think this is the first time we get definite confirmation that's him. Although, like, it was really obvious he was before, but I don't think it was ever explicit because we saw him turn into Tuxedo Mask.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we knew that from the beginning, but this made it official.
Yeah, well, like, we knew it in that it was obvious, but this is the first time it's clearly established, I think. It's like it's not like, oh, it's definitely like before. Maybe you could think, oh, it's a misdirection. This time, okay, it's definitely him.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Nothing else to say about that. The second episode was more interesting than the first, but other than that, it is just kind of. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we got Naruto episode 25. So we basically find out that they're going to ask the last question, but if you fail the last question, then you're unable to take the Chunin exam. And now I get what my statement. That was a note for Naruto. That's what I was talking about. It was referring to the Chunin exam. That's what I was. Okay, hang on. I'm getting ahead of myself. Basically, he says that you'll never be able to take it again, and a bunch of people decide that they won't take the question, but all the main characters decide to go through it anyway, and then it turns out, oh yeah, the question was, will you take the question? Which therefore made the previous part, when you get down to it, kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
So everyone who decided to do that passes. Okay, so that's what I was commenting on. It's what I was saying with, honestly, when one thinks about it, it's obvious preventing them from taking it again was a bluff. After all, the other villages would presumably object to their members being unable to take it again. That's what I was saying here. It was obvious that was a bluff because what? Since there's all these people from different villages, are they all just going to say, oh, well, this one guy from Konoha says they can't ever take it again. I guess they're out of luck. That's the comment I was trying to make with it. Now I got it. Whew. That was driving me. I got mixed up. I put the note under Spice and Wolf instead of Naruto.
Well, at least you figured it out.
Okay, so I remember before you were basically guessing. You were asking how were they supposed to figure out what the answers were, and you just kind of guessed, well, none of this will actually matter. You were partially right, partially wrong. You were partially right in that it actually didn't matter, but the answer was yeah, we just had some some people that pretend to be tuning with the right answer, so people could copy off of them.
Yeah, I was right though. It didn't matter.
Mhm.
So yeah.
It's just kind of weird because it did I mean, it was testing people's ability to get information, but on the other hand, when you get down to it, it wasn't really that great of a test because if anyone was, clueless like Naruto, they could still pass as long as they just, decided to go with the final question. Okay. All right. Yeah. On the whole, this thing is this like reminding you of the Hunter exam?
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then they go on to the next exam, except they won't because unfortunately the next episode is a clip show. If I remember correctly, it's a clip show. So we'll go through that, and then they'll actually go into the forest of death that they hyped up. I kind of did like the examiner guy in this one, Ibiki. Unfortunately, he doesn't really do much in the series, so that's kind of a shame.
I just love how they play that super sad this and sorrow song whenever they're explaining the testing. It's like I love that song. Okay, I really love it. It just felt so over dramatic for the moment.
Yeah, that's about all I have to say about Naruto, though. Anything else?
No, that's pretty much about it.
Alright, so finally we get Dragon Ball Z Kai episode 20, I think. So let me just see if I can remember exactly what. Okay, right. So, Krillin and Gohan beat some of Frieza's minions, but their spaceship gets destroyed in the process, which kind of might strand them here. Vegeta ends up fighting that Kui guy and beats him because I guess it's just the point is just to show, yeah, Vegeta's stronger than he was before. And then Goku recovers from all of his injuries after eating a Zenzu bean because those cure all your injuries. Kind of seems like that would be something that would be good to give to other people. And I'm sure there's like some paralytics or quadriplegics who could like really benefit from this sort of thing. I think that maybe you can only get a limited number of them when you grow them. Like even if we say, okay, it's not possible to mass produce them, you can only make a certain limited number, like every so often. The world's not always in complete danger. You could still use some of them to help other people, in between the times where, some alien shows up to attack.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Goku makes his recovery, and they manage to find the spaceship that he came in, and then he's going off to Namek himself.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I believe this episode is also our. I think we saw Frieza at the end of the previous episode, but I think this is the first time he actually, talks and stuff, unless I'm misremembering. So I think this is our introduction to Frieza, one of the super famous villains from the series.
Yeah, because this isn't even his final form.
No, he's got 4 forms. And, and then if you count Super, he gets 2 more forms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in the regular series, he's got 4 of the forms. Then in Dragon Ball Super, he gets that Golden Frieza form. Later on, he gets this thing. After the point the anime ends, he gets like this Black Frieza form, which apparently is stronger than the main characters. But then they never end up fighting him again because, Akira Toriyama died, and the series kind of got put on indefinite hiatus. So maybe it'll come back and someone else will resolve that, or maybe it'll just kind of end with that plot point unfinished.
Mm-hmm.
I did look at like the last chapter of Dragon Ball Super. It at least looked like it at least like ended the arc the series on, apparently. So it works okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Any comments about Dragon Ball Z Kai?
No, not me really.
All right, and then that's all of our series. I guess we can give our ranking ones. We're still not counting Toonami Rewind series for it.
Well, I'm not.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. If in that case, I won't either. Let's try to keep things more equal there. All right. We can go into the top threes. Do you want to go first, or should I?
You can go ahead first.
Okay. Put all the pressure on me, why don't you?
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. So for my top threes, I'm going to say, once again, I need to put these together better beforehand. All right. I think I got them. I think we're going to put in Demon Slayer in third, Dark Gathering in second, and yeah, I think I liked Yu Yu Hakusho the most.
Okay, so this week, big change. There is no Full Metal Panic in the top three this week. Instead, third place, I gave it to the show for its final episode, Dark Gathering. Second place, I put One Piece because of all the unintentional humor. And first place had to be Yu Yu Hakusho. And that's the way it was.
Okay. So, that's all of those. Just for the record, because Dark Gathering ended, at least for now, we're going to be replacing it with a second episode of Yu Yu Hakusho. So, for anyone who actually follows along on our non-Toonami watching, for next week we'll have 2 episodes of Spice and Wolf, 1 of Full Metal Panic, and 2 of Yu Yu Hakusho.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Beyond that, anything else to discuss before we leave?
I started watching a new show actually.
Oh.
I was sitting down and I turned on Crunchyroll and 2 shows came up, and one had this obscenely long title, which I can't even remember half of it. And then the next one came on and just said Shy. So I'm like, okay, Shy. That sounds interesting. So I watched it, and basically, it's Shy is pretty much My Hero Academia if the main character was a super shy girl. So it has a ton of similarities to My Hero Academia. Like it could almost be a spin-off of it. It's so real. It seems so much like it, but the main character is all shy and socially awkward and stuff. So first episode wasn't bad. I think I'm going to now I'm obligated to watch 3 episodes because of my 3-episode rule. But it was pretty good. It wasn't anything special, but it was pretty good.
I actually watched, I think, 2 episodes of that. That was way back. I don't do it anymore, but there's a time where I was trying, okay, I'm going to watch at least one episode of every new series, at least this season, that's aired on a platform I have. That was back, it's because I was trying to really try to get better with Spanish, so I was watching them all Spanish subtitled. The good news is that after doing that for several seasons, I think I'm pretty good at reading at least the subtitles Spanish. The problem is I'm trying to work now on is actually listening to it. But, that was one, it didn't keep me, did I watch 1 or 2 episodes? I can't remember. I think I just put all the series in some sort of bracket thing, and I'd watch 1 episode of each, and then the ones that I liked more would go on to the second round, and then for each of those brackets I'd watch the second episode and then pick one of those to go on, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I can't remember. It was a while ago. That was when did that series originally air? I know it was. I'm pretty sure it was at least a year ago. Though I think the second season is airing now. Let me check quick. Let's see. All right, the first season aired last year in 2023, and now this is the second season. Did you now I'm wondering, do you remember the other really lengthy series? Do you remember any of it? I want to know what it was.
Let me look. I tweeted about it, so maybe I can find it on my Twitter account. Because I'm like, Shy? That sounds interesting. Okay, here it is. Yeah. Shy seems more like something I watched rather than the Austin newbie adventurer trained to death by the most powerful party became invincible.
Welcome to the world of light novel titles. You can that's how you know something came. Well, no, not even specifically from a light novel, from a web novel. Because do you know sort of about the web novel, light novel, anime pipeline?
No.
Okay, so basically, how do I explain it well? Okay, so basically, there's something called in Japan, they've got the light novels, which are basically, novels, except they've got some pictures in them and stuff. Now, the thing is, a lot of those nowadays start out as web novels, which is basically a fancy, which makes it sound more fancy than it is. Really, it's just web novels are basically just stuff that people put on the Japanese version of Wattpad.
Fan fiction.
Well, yeah, but more original stuff, more commonly. Okay. So one of the there's this one series, this website, the most popular one, but there's other ones. It's called Shosetsuka ni Naru, which means let's become a novelist. And for a while, this actually did allow fan fiction, but they eventually banned that, and now it has to be original. And apparently, people say this is part of the reason why so many stories are derivative, because people want to write fan fiction, but they can't write fan fiction, so they just write an original story that's effectively fan fiction. I mean, look, hey, it made hey, that ended up becoming a multi-million-dollar franchise in the English world in 50 Shades of Grey, so it can work here too. Remember that series was originally Twilight fan fiction, and it was just rewritten into whatever it is. Okay, so back to Japan. So Shosetsuka ni Naru, that's the most popular website. There's other ones, I need to make it clear. So that's where you put your stories, and those are called web novels. Now, some of those, if they get popular, novel publishers keep an eye on these, and if one is popular, they'll decide, okay, they will go to the author and say, hey, we will publish this as a light novel. So the author will rewrite some things, and then it would be published as a light novel. So sometimes the light novels are basically the exact same plot. Sometimes they change things up in the process. And then if those get popular, they could get made into manga and eventually anime. And there's a whole lot of anime that started out with this pipeline. It was a web novel, got popular enough to be a light novel, got popular enough to get an anime, and that's the thing. Like several series we've watched have done that, like Konosuba and ReZero and Saga of Tanya the Evil and Overlord and Ascendance of a Bookworm. You might notice that every series I just listed is an isekai title. Yes, there's a whole lot of isekai in the web novels. I'm sure there's some other series I think we've watched that aren't quite like that, but you watched it, but I didn't. But Banished from the Hero's Party, that was also a web novel that followed that. Now, the reason why this is a roundabout way, but this brings us to why those titles are so infamously long. Because a lot of the stuff I said, those are the shortened forms, like Banished from the Hero Party, full title. Banished from the Hero's Party, I decided to live a quiet life in the countryside, for example. And or ReZero, full title, ReZero, starting life from zero in another world. Why are they, I could just list so many titles of these. And by the way, if you have a series that came from a web novel that seems like it has a short title, most likely they just shortened it for the English release. Like Shangri-La Frontier. Oh yeah, that was a web novel originally also. They just call it Shangri-La Frontier in English. The full title in Japanese is Shangri-La Frontier Crappy Game Hunter Challenges God Tier Game. And like the full title of Tear Moon Empire was Tear Moon Empire Story, the story of the chained reincarnated princess starting from the guillotine. Ascendance of a Bookworm originally had like the title, like I'll do anything to become a librarian. I need to stop before I just give all the examples, but
Yeah.
the basic reason, and you might be wondering, once again, why do they have these titles? Well, here's the thing. Shosutsuka ni Naru, or those other sites, have a lot of stories on them. How are you going to get people to look at your story compared to the thousands of other ones? You put everything in the title so that someone is curious and looks at it. These titles are literal clickbait.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when they end up, being made into anime, you end up with these they keep the titles, so you get like these super long titles like, what was it? The Awesome Newbie Adventure, Trained to Death by the Most Powerful Party, Became Invincible.
Yeah.
I legitimately do wonder what the longest one is. The longest one I've seen so far is backstabbed in a backwater dungeon. My trusted companions tried to kill me, but thanks to the gift of an unlimited gacha, I got level 9,999 friends, and I'm out for revenge on my party members and the world.
Really?
That is the full title of the series. It doesn't have an anime yet, but it does have a manga. I remember.
How are they sorting that?
Oh, the shortened title is Backstabbed in a Backwater Dungeon.
Okay.
The rest of it is just a subtitle. It's really funny if you look at the cover to see how much space that title takes.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah, I only remembered that because a while ago someone like posted stuff about like the manga that was like happening to sell well in that particular month, and that title was there, and I would never forget that title. So anyway, that's why you end up with all of these super lengthy titles. And like I said, a lot of times if you see a short title that's based on a light a novel or web novel, well, usually it's because it's shortened. Although 86, that's just a full title, 86. No fancy subtitle. That's just his name. But that one didn't start as a web novel. It went straight to light novel. That's why it gets a short title. That's also why Sword Art Online is called Sword Art Online rather than Sword Art Online. I got trapped in a VR game and have to fight my way through 99 levels in order to escape because it predated all of this.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you seriously look up, if you just look up Sho Seitsuka ni Naru on Wikipedia, and if you don't, and like if you can't find if you don't know how to spell all that out, just like go to like the page of this like Shangri-La Frontier and look over on the information on it, and it should like give you a link to it. Just look at it and look at the length of and look at the titles. And usually, if you see a short title, it's only because it got shortened. Like instead of seventh time loop, the villainess enjoys a carefree life married to her worst enemy, shortened to just seventh time loop. Okay, so sorry I rambled on a bit there, I guess. Yeah, I should probably stop talking about this, because whenever I talk about this, I feel the urge to just I just see all these titles and just want to just list them all on this podcast because they're so silly sounding.
The best one is always going to be The Case of Me, a Pro Golfer, reincarnated as my little sister's putter.
Astoundingly, that's gotta be the
best.
Astoundingly, that was not a web novel. That started as a manga.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay, so I think that's everything there. I guess I might as well. Sure. Before I forget, I finished it a little while ago, but I finally did get through it. What was it? Let's see. Yeah, I did watch Villainous Level 99, another lengthy one. Villainous Level 99. I may be the hidden boss, but I'm not the demon lord. Mm-hmm. And it was okay. Well, it wasn't great, but it was okay. I kind of liked the main character. I thought her relationship with Patrick was kind of funny. I did like but on the whole, I'd just say it was okay. Nothing particularly special. If you're, I guess, into the so-called villainess sub-genre, you'd probably like it, though. Yeah, I know that's a short review, but I just kind of went to decide, okay, I saw some of this, let's finish it. And I just kind of thought, it was okay. Maybe I'll watch another season if it comes out. Maybe I won't. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I think that's all of it. So, all right. Well, now I guess you listeners understand where all those lengthy titles come from. And with all that said, I guess that'll be that. We'll see you next week for the usual slate of things. Maybe we'll even talk more about crazy titles. And with all that said, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
I was just browsing around the PlayStation Store when I came across this indie gem. There's lots of games for $20, but Haunty is in another dimension. You play as a ghost trying to ascend to heaven, but first you've got to break the mortal chains that bind you. It's an amazing world of shadow and light, but stray into the darkness for too long, and the demons will drag you away. Haunt various creatures and objects to help make your way through eternity. Gather stars by solving puzzles and beating enemies. Cash them in to renew the constellations and unlock core memories. And watch as your life is slowly played back in a series of touching visions. This collectathon has tons of style, and the storytelling, although a bit depressing, is top-notch. It's a weird premise for a twin-stick shooter, but it sure is fun. We give Haunty an 8 out of 10. Scary good.
Once a year, the NFL's finest gladiators face off in the biggest sporting event of them all, the Super Bowl. Toonami's giving you the chance to be there in 2005. One grand prize winner scores 4 tickets and a trip to Super Bowl 39 in Jacksonville, Florida. 300 second prize winners score an official NFL prize pack. Want to get in on this? Watch Toonami Saturday from 7 to 11 and look for the toll-free number. Remember, there's no substitute for guts.